lady.
Gentlemen, thank you for spending this time with us.
Thank you.
Welcome to Florida.
What's up, everybody?
So let's go ahead and open up. We'll ask their questions. I just want to ask each of you, in your own words, how did you get involved with Karate Kid? How did it develop for you?
Well, I auditioned for John Avildsen, who was our director. Recently, he passed away, so we're a little sad about that. But he left such a great legacy and directed Rocky and Karate Kid, among other films. He had me up to his apartment. We read some scenes, which you can actually find on YouTube, my first audition. And he said, I can't speak for everybody, but maybe you should take some karate lessons. And there it began.
I was with Sensei Kove. We were at a 7-Eleven in a fight. No, that's not true. I was a young actor. Before I played Johnny in the Karate Kid, I was like did commercials. So I was like milk commercials, Pepsi commercials, those kind of things. So I was like the all-American kid. I got a call from my agents to read a script. They're interested in you to play Johnny Lawrence in this movie called The Karate Kid, who's a karate black belt motorcycle rider. I never did karate. I never rode a motorcycle. I thought there's no chance I'm getting this part. I went in. I read with John Avildsen. They called me back about a month later. I auditioned with Ralph, and one more call back, and all of a sudden they handed me this role, and that's how it happened. So just an audition, just an actor out there in the street. So.
Thank you.
We planned that.
That was the ghost of me.
Thank you. Yeah, I did the film for $12 a day because I knew that Ralph and Billy were going to do it. I thought it was a Western, but you know, it was a Western kind of. In actuality, it was really rough, the audition process, and we berated the director and we berated the producer, and I was very angry because I didn't get very much time to learn the script. And within a couple of days, they wanted to see me, and I was totally unprepared, and I went in there and I was doing a TV series at the time, and I just berated them and ripped them apart and screamed and yelled, you don't give us enough time to really learn our roles. And these are very prestigious people. John Avildsen was a great director, and Jerry was a very prestigious producer. Jerry Weintraub, may rest in peace. And they loved it. They didn't have fragile egos, and they gave me the part, and I got a chance to work with my two idols here.
Right on, works for me. All right then, who's got some questions for these gentlemen? We got the microphone over here, and same rules as always, one question and no weirdo requests, please. Thank you. Again, they are not going to do karate for you on the stage. I'm sorry.
Sorry. So this one is for Mr. Ralph Macchio. I had a giant crush on you when I was 4 and the first movie came out. I was a tiny child. How was it being such a teen heartthrob? Like, what was it like? Was it really overwhelming and like crazy?
And
you look the same, by the way. Pretty much.
Quite.
Yeah, he's never heard that before.
Almost.
Yeah, I take this off at night. The teen idol, heartthrob, teen magazine phase I'm not the only one up here that was graced a few of those. It was all Marty. But it's kind of odd, but I'm trying to remember way back then.
Ralph had posters of himself in his room.
Yeah.
He
I know. They've been telling me I got to take them down now.
Yeah, he still has them up.
I figured when I was 50 I'd take them down, but they're still there. It's kind of
those old Dynamite posters.
Yeah. Teen Bop and 16. I think you try to, as an actor, you're saying, well, this was just one area of my career, but you want to be taken seriously and other things, But the fans that were 12 years old or 4 at the time are now adults and still fans. So I'm glad you signed on early. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Hi.
Hi.
So I studied an Okinawan style, in high school when your movie came out. And there were so many parallels to what I was doing to what you guys were doing on screen. And I was wondering who trained you during the film, and was it an Okinawan or Goju Ruse style?
Sure. So what was it, Okinawa Te? What did you study?
I studied a USA Goju-Ryu.
Yeah, that's what Miyagi taught.
Yeah, that was the
developer of, it was Chojin Miyagi, so it
Yeah,
looked like they borrowed his name.
Yeah, neither of us knew karate when we got into the film, so we had our instructor who was also the referee in the movie, going, point, winner, that's Pat Johnson.
Oh, that guy. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, you know Pat? Yeah, he was.
T-shirt referee.
Yeah, referee.
He was ours.
1 point, LaRusso,
Well, he said it was
Clash.
He was pretty defiant about it.
Yeah, he was great. He was like, one of the American champions, is under Chuck Norris and the Chuck Norris system, and he was our sensei. He was actually the last guy I met before I got the part, and he stretched me in all kinds of positions. But we would train 4 hours a day, 5 days a week. He would teach me Taekwondo, Tang Sudo, Korean's offensive, aggressive style, and he would teach Ralph Okinawa style in character. And he would teach me the way Sensei Kreese would have taught me. So he didn't just teach me the technical, but he also taught me how a Cobra Kai would teach. So if I turned my back on him, he literally would sweep me, bring me to the ground, he'd put his foot, and say, never turn your back on your sensei, and all kinds of stuff. So he would do it, of course, controlled, but he built Johnny Lawrence literally from the ground up because I knew nothing about martial arts. I mean, I was a wrestler in high school.
We trained separately. Yeah. Pat Morita and I would train with Pat Johnson, and Billy and the Cobra Kai team would train with Pat Johnson in a different style. It was really, the only time we saw each other was when the camera was rolling, for the most part, which kind of set up that antagonist-protagonist thing quite well. I never felt on their team, and they never felt on mine, so I think that set up pretty nicely.
Cool beans. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hello.
I just wanted to say that, yes, the movie also inspired me to take martial arts. I took Isshin-ryu for 10 years, which was a combination of Gojo-ryu and Shoin-ryu. My question was there ever a time on set that was so funny you guys just could not stop laughing and it took way too many takes?
When Ralph gets his knee cracked.
They were all dying.
It was so funny.
On the
No.
I was waiting for
but sweep the leg. Yeah. We did one joke in the movie. We played it on the director. We were in the dojo, and Sensei comes in. We're all lined up, and he says, fall in, and everybody had to come in and fall in and do a karate stance. And we had a pre-plan that we thought it would be funny when he came in and said, fall in, and all the Cobra Kais we just all fell down on the mat, So that was really funny to us. And the director came over, John Avildsen, and he said, guys, that was very funny. Don't do it again. So it wasn't too much laughing really on the set, but
I had.
like that.
I always heard he had a peculiar sense of humor. What's that? I always heard he had a peculiar sense of humor.
John Avildsen?
Yeah.
Well, he was very focused on what he's doing, and he's kind of commanding a big train there. So to have a bunch of actors waste his film and time, it's like. But yeah, no, he was great.
He was very dry, very, very dry.
Yeah.
But he really had a great sense of humor. It was kind of like, laughter unto himself and the chuckle here and there.
He would always have his lame puns, like what you would call dad jokes now.
Yeah.
Avildsen, but I remember I was doing this sequence when I'm in the ocean water and they're trying to stand on one leg and the waves are just pounding me down. I was out there for felt like 2 hours, probably 10 minutes, but felt like 2 hours. And he said, well, how was it out there? I said, well, it's kind of a little rocky because there was sand on the beach, but once I got out further, it was a little rocky. He said, well, that's what people are saying about this movie. It's a little rocky. That's John Avildsen.
Yeah. When we were doing Karate Kid 3, he wasn't happy with the fellow playing Mike Barnes. And Mike, John wanted to get rid of him. And he broke 2 ribs. And John said if the kid doesn't show up, he gave him 2 days off. If he doesn't show up, then we're just going to find somebody else. And it's just how he felt. He literally wanted what his way was. He had a great vision of the movie, all 3 of the pictures that he directed. And he knew what he wanted. He just knew exactly what he wanted. If you didn't deal with him the way you had to deal with him, you were replaced. So there was some fun, and there was some very serious moments.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, guys. I'm Justin.
Hey.
Nice to meet you. First off, I just want to say I'm sure I speak for everybody when I say we all love you. You guys inspired generations of martial artists. You guys rock, really, big time. My question was, in terms of cinema, will we ever see the Karate Kid return? Like, make a sequel where the cast is back together.
Well,
Do you have a couple $1 million we could borrow?
I guess you never say never. It's all about the script. I think we'd all agree to that. We've been so blessed with this franchise and what it has become and how it pays back and decades later. So the one thing you don't want to do is go back to that well and it not be of the level and stature that the legacy has been lifted to. So it's really important that if it ever were to happen, that the script be spectacular. I mean, they remade the movie, as you know. We don't talk about that much.
Did they ask you to do a cursory cameo?
They did say if you want to be involved, maybe we could write a cameo. But I at least got that call. But I just felt let them make their own 2010 version of the Karate Kid, and I didn't want to taint the legacy because I had no idea if they were going to make anything good or not. The truth is, over time, in my view, the remake only enhanced the relevance of the original film. I mean, it's more popular. The Cobra Kai is part of pop culture, and the sweep the leg and catching flies with chopsticks and the crane kick. I mean, that stuff just continues to be reborn with each generation. So
that is a wonderfully articulate and polite way to say what is all in our minds.
How about that? How about that? What a politician.
Thank you so much for the question.
Thank you. If anything, maybe one day everything can just be combined, like the 2010 version, and then just...
No, we're not going to go near that.
That will not happen.
That will not. That we could answer.
We do a Disney movie.
Unless we
before
get
do that.
guns and weapons and things like that, CG.
Well, Jackie Chan, maybe.
Yeah, and a flying suit, then maybe.
There you go.
I just had a question for Ralph, actually. Psych is one of my favorite shows, so I was wondering what your experience was like being a part of that.
Psych was great. I got to do 2 episodes. Billy did an episode as well.
Oh, really? Which
Yes, he did. So this is a question for both of us.
Thank you, Ralph. No, it's not.
And I had a great time. They're great guys. I mean, the whole team, the creative team, Dulé and James Roday just is spectacular. To play the police academy instructor and a lawyer, and the remake episode. The good new news is that I appear in the new Psych Christmas movie coming in December. So it's a small little piece, but it was fun. I just got back from shooting it, and so Nick Conforth, the police academy instructor, does return. So thanks for asking.
He plays Santa Claus at the store, so you might not recognize him. So, but that is Ralph Macchio.
I loved you in the Entourage. You played yourself, and you did that with such a really great humor. And thank you for that. That
was the first time that I played myself. Now I play myself way too many times. I'm like dialing it back. But thanks.
Boss.
Hello, my name is John Allen. I was diagnosed with Parkinson's about 2 years ago. Watching the Karate Kid growing up inspired me to do a lot. I can't fight or defend myself, but I definitely liked your style. My question is, did you enjoy kicking his butt?
Repeat that. Did you enjoy it? I just wanted to...
Did you enjoy kicking his ass?
Listen, I got my butt kicked too. I got my butt kicked big time.
You only got one shot.
I only got one shot.
Sure,
but
got him the trophy.
What's important is getting the right shot. But we both took some hits. It's fun when it's in a controlled environment and you get to act. You know, it's like a kid playing air guitar. You're awesome when you play air guitar, but you really can't quite make the music. So it was kind of nice to pretend to be someone who would win a tournament when I think part of the beauty of the Karate Kid film, from the point of view of Daniel LaRusso, is he represented every kid. He had no right winning anything, so he made us all believe we had a chance to overcome those obstacles. And that's really the themes of the movie is what's important.
Just because of him, I never gave up on Parkinson's.
Well, God bless, and thanks for sharing that with us. I appreciate it.
Thanks, buddy.
And remember, we carry vendettas here for 30 years. Johnny Lawrence has been the Karate Kid. Don't ever forget that, because I've carried that vendetta for 30 years.
And we had to wait for the sequel to see you and Pat finally go at it.
Well, that was interesting because, you know, Pat was terrific, and his stunt coordinator was incredible. I mean, just incredible. And they had a video called The Real Mr. Miyagi that just came out. And it was fun. I mean, it was a little over the top, you know, paint falling on you and fighting in that dojo, and it was crazy. And Terry Silver, you know, Thomas Ian Griffin was a brilliant martial artist and a pianist, and this fellow's a script writer and all, and I couldn't do it because I got a series. So it was interesting that he came on, and, you know, he was more of a Terminator than John Kreese ever was, you know.
Yeah.
But that fight scene and all was a lot of fun. We had a ball.
Was the honk honk scripted, or was that on the fly?
Yeah, part two. I was talking about part three.
Yeah.
Part two is originally the end of Karate Kid 1.
Really?
Yeah, that scene, the scene out in the parking lot was originally, we were ready to go, and we had trained for that with Pat every single day for like 3 hours with Pat Johnson. And then on the set, they decided after a couple of hours to end the movie in the tournament scene. And so that scene of the honking of the nose and the confrontation going through the window and all, that was all set up to be Karate Kid 2, the first scene. And in fact, we had someone came in with a script yesterday, and I looked in the back of the script to see if that was an original, if the movie did end in that script in the parking lot, you know, and it did. And so it's fascinating, and, you know, it's great hindsight. I mean, these cats.
I'm glad we eventually got to see it. It would have been nice to see it, but hey, we got to see it. Cool. All right, what's up, Thundercats?
Hello, my name is Steven, and I have a question for all three of you. I was just wondering if, as kids, if any one of you were bullied, and if so, did it contribute to your performances in the movie?
Well, I wasn't bullied, but I was, the interesting thing about me is I came from the East Coast. I was born in New York and came from Long Island, moved to California when I was 10. Yeah. And my first day of school, I had, you know, one of those old bikes with the big handlebars like that, the banana seat, you know, and just the streamers, the baseball card there, and click, 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 like that, you know. And it was my first day of school, and moving to California was all these kids with these really cool, like, motocross bikes with the knobby tires, and they were like, it was like my first day of school, and apparently behind my house there were these rolling hills, and I went hiking in there, and I found this little cave, and in the cave was a cooler, and inside the cooler was some Snickers bars and stuff, and I probably grabbed them, I guess. And the kids saw me do that, so when I got to the school, I didn't know, it was just sitting there in the cave. This hill. Anyway, I get to the school on my bike, and there was about 6 kids waiting for me. And my first greeting at school was my first day was them pushing me off my bike, falling into the bike racks, and getting all scuffed up on my arm. Now, I was different. My dad taught me when I was a kid to stand up for myself. And my dad actually used to take me in the basement and let me punch him in the face till I was 10 years old, just so I knew what it felt like. Because he got bullied when he was a kid in Chicago. Anyway, long story short, I fought back, and suddenly I was, I wasn't picked on anymore. But the first thing that happened was somebody pushed me down, and so I think we all dealt with a little bit. I mean, I got in fights in school. I had people, you know, staring me down in high school. This big football player wanted my girlfriend, you know, made me feel uncomfortable very much every time I walked through the cafeteria and stuff, you know. And I just kept walking straight, you know, walking tall. Never got in a confrontation with him, but I don't know if anything of that came into the role, but certainly I think every one of us can deal with some opposition and confrontation in our lives like that. So as an actor, all those experiences feed you in the character. So I'm sure it came out somewhere.
I, on the other hand, was such a scrawny kid, everyone just felt too bad for me to beat the hell out of me. They were like, it'd be too easy. No, we all dealt with, everyone deals with some form of bullying. It's what, you know, because there are many different levels now more than ever because of social media. I mean, it's become so covert and complex. But certainly the fish out of water element for Daniel LaRusso moving, I wasn't able to relate to that, but I was always kind of the smallest guy in the class, or one of, you know, I was not necessarily blessed with the Adonis athletic physique, so I sort of knew what it was like to be picked second to last in dodgeball. But I mean, I used all that. You use all personal experiences, so all roles, you know, and that everyone has dealt with some form of bullying in some way.
John Kreese just bullied his teachers in school. No, really. I was bullied once when I lived in Brooklyn, and the whole backstory of my character was that he was a bully, and that kind of dominated me more than my personal experiences back in Brooklyn as a 7th grader, I think, because John Kreese had a rough time back in Vietnam and did a lot of strange things there that he carried on into his life when he got to be the sensei. And it was a whole backstory I created for myself. So that kind of haunted me more than personal relationship with bullying, because he was a very, he was a very difficult character for him, unto himself, to come back in society with. His character could not mesh with society, which is why he became the ultimate bully in the dojo, in the Kobukai.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to say one thing about bullying, because it's a really serious thing, and we've done many talks, and just on a side note, because the movie's so much about that. Martial arts is an amazing thing for kids. I've met some kids at these shows. This one girl came up and her mom said she was really bullied growing up, and I said, "How you doing now?" She says, "Well, I'm a black belt. I'm 15," and she said, "If they do anything now, just elbow them." But it wasn't that she could fight back. It was the confidence, and I think that martial arts is such an amazing discipline. It gives you self-esteem and confidence, and techniques on how to get out of a situation. And it's a serious thing, bullying, especially with social media, which we never had when we were kids. So you get bullied online and all that, and the definition of being bullied is somebody that makes you feel less than who you are. So if there's somebody that's making you feel less than who you are, reach out for help. If you're a kid, if you're dealing with it, if you're an adult dealing with it, don't be silent about it. Talk to your parents, talk to your counselors at school, and there is help and there are programs. So, look, we're actors, we played roles and everything, but it's a serious thing, and, don't suffer alone, and you can overcome it, and you can be, you can get past it, and it's a season of your life. If you're a kid and you're going through it, it feels like your whole world. But, in a few years, it's going to be a blink. So just know that, it does get better, it does taper off, and, just reach out for help or talk about it. And if you are a bully, stop it.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, no, it's serious. We're actors, we played in a movie. It's fun to talk about these characters, but, we're also...
It is prevalent, too, because people don't understand that years ago, you could run away from bullies, and bullies would move away. Cyberbullying nowadays, because I speak on this, too, and it's like, you write something on the internet, it doesn't go away. It's not writing, it's not like writing Billy eats poop, and then the next day the janitor rucks it up. It stays
there
forever.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a terrible thing. So thank you for being a proponent of that. All right, Batman, liven us up.
Okay. Hi, my name is Grant.
Can you take off the mask so we can hear you?
Oh, sorry.
No,
Sorry.
keep it on. That's okay. Just get closer to the mic.
Okay. Let me try again. Hi, my name is Grant, and I'm from Philly, so I love Karate Kid. It's so amazing because I like the 2010 Karate Kid, like Jaden Smith. He's my biggest fan. So, my question is, what is your favorite scene from your movie? 3 of you.
Favorite scene?
Yes.
Favorite scene individually. And we'll broaden it. It could be any part of the trilogy.
I guess quickly, my 2 favorite scenes off the top of my head are the payoff scene when Miyagi says, "Show me paint the fence, show me wax on," and all the chores that Daniel has been doing now pay off to be the lessons that he's learned through martial arts, and the realization and the thunderous applause we would get in the audiences and in theaters. It was just such a rush that pushes that movie into its 3rd act. And then my own personal favorite is after Miyagi is drunk, talking about, you get his backstory with his wife and child and during World War II and the internment camps, and when Daniel bows to him and then sets off to train himself to that beautiful classical music by Bill Conti, and I get chills every time. The hair stands up and I go like a little girly man and get choked up watching that. It's still to this day.
Thank you.
Bill Conti still doesn't get the credit he deserves for his whole career. It's magnificent.
Fantastic composer.
My favorite scene to act in was the motorcycle scene coming up on the cliffs. That was the first scene I ever filmed in any movie. So, that was like a rush to come up on motorcycles with all my guys, and, that was fun, coming down the beach. Not the fight so much, the whole atmosphere of that, so to film that. My favorite 2 other scenes are the one Ralph mentioned when that whole moment, you know, when he says, show, you know, and all of a sudden everything he's learned comes together. When I saw that the first time in the theater, and we watched that being filmed and rehearsed and all that, but the way it was put together with the music and the timing and all that, everybody went crazy, you know, and I got chills. I'm like, wow, it was just amazing. And then my third favorite scene, which is probably the best scene in the movie, is when he's dancing in the shower, and chicken comes through and cracks him on the head with the egg. That's the best part of the movie for me.
Nice. Yep.
My favorite part was in the tournament scene. There's that energy that's built and built and built. And in fact, we watched it. Ralph and I watched it once from behind a screen, the last 10 minutes of the movie, and we got chills. And you know, finish him. You know that the one big is a big cut on me, and it says I scream finish him, and that build and build and build, and we really don't know what's going to happen. And no matter how many times you see this movie, which is why it's so iconic. And Robert Kamen, to me, was a star who wrote the piece, you know, and it's built so well that when you're in that tournament scene, there is no other life. Everybody is right there in the moment, and you can't let go of the movie. And it's just brilliant. And so for me, that final confrontation and the bit sweep the leg here when I fix his nose, and you don't know that he cried during that. But he did. He cried. In fact, you know, he did. But I fix the nose, and I say, no mercy, sweep the leg. I love the interplay between us because Billy looks at me like I'm crazy for the first time ever. And, you know, Sensei Kreese has been nuts for a long time. So, you know, it's the first time my Cobra Kai saw it, you know.
Yeah,
Miyagi saw it earlier on, you know. But those are the sequences that I enjoyed the most, you know. I really did enjoy the end of the movie there. It was terrific.
Thank you. I really appreciate it. You guys rock.
Thank you.
Speaking of the shower, I still see the shower disguise cosplayed at conventions still to this day.
Almost every Comic-Con, there's at least one shower costume.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome.
It lives
sell
on.
them. I mean, you could go online at Amazon or whatever and
Yeah.
get it for Halloween. It's who knew?
Well, I see the shower costume, and I see it surrounded by the skeleton guys chasing after him. So that's when you get the cosplay troop running, so it's great stuff.
So a couple of years ago, my husband came home and said, you have to watch this video. It's called Sweep the Leg. So how did that come about? I know you directed it and wrote the video, but how did all three of you end up in it, and was it hard to get them to participate? And
She's talking about a Sweep the Leg music video. Whoever saw that, I'm just curious. Okay, well, if you haven't
I told them to look it up before you got here.
Oh, go to YouTube and watch Sweep the Leg by No More Kings. It's just a spoof. A band wrote a song called Sweep the Leg, and their label reached out to me and asked me to be in their music video. They wanted me in a headband, maybe jumping around the stage with the guys, and I said, I don't want to do it. The song kind of freaked me out. I didn't want to, you know. They brought me on a boat, literally in Florida, and played it on a boat, screaming, and their kids were bouncing around, sweep the leg, and I just wanted to jump off and go with the sharks. I really didn't want to do it. I'm like, listen, I said, let me write something, if I can come up with something creative, and if you can fund it so it can be done right, you know, I'll try to get everybody back. So came up with the concept, submitted it, they approved it, and then called everybody one by one, and I hadn't seen Marty for a little while. We met for coffee, and I was telling him about this, and he was trying to get his head around it. I said, let me just bring you to the car and show you the song. So he gets to his car, and he puts the convertible top down, and we stick it in there. He sits there, he lights a cigar. And it's like, sweep the leg, Johnny. And all of a sudden, this big smile goes, yeah, I like it. This is what I say, I love it. So he was in real fast, and that was cool. He was harder to get because he was very busy, but more also nervous, I think, probably, because it was a very ambitious film, a video. We shot it in 3 days, and it really needed a week, and it was a lot of production stuff. So we filmed the whole video, and at the very end, when I'm rollerblading, I sent it to Ralph when it was in that condition, and it just said, kind of, insert you here. You're hitting me in the car, and he saw it, and he's all right, it looks great. Yeah, and so he came out, and we had a blast doing it, and it's really fun. So, and it just turned out to be something really cool, and it was a fun, you know, we had a lot of fun with the whole thing.
If you haven't seen it, you should definitely check it out. It really pays homage to a lot in the movie, and an angle in from where the Cobra Kai is, where Johnny Lawrence is. It's very cool. Yeah. Very, very cool. I'm glad we were all a part of it.
Yeah, we had a blast. And if you haven't seen his wax on blank off video, you need to check that out too.
That's next.
I need to.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name is Alan, longtime listener, big time fan. My
First-time caller.
First-time caller, yeah.
First time calling, yes.
Hello there, Ellen.
You're on the air.
Hello. Okay, so this is a question for all three of you. I was just wondering, you touched on it a bit throughout the question before. I was just wondering, like, what are your thoughts on the 2010 Karate Kid with Jaden Smith? Like, what did you like about it? What did you not like? Like, what would you like to have seen?
We're going back to 2010, are we? I think they did a very good job, and it is honestly, I think they did a very good job of reimagining the story for 2010. The fighting to me felt a little bit like video game fighting, but then again, that's how martial arts are in movies. Where in our film, it was, it was a little more truer to probably how it would be. I think that. The biggest difference is, like I mentioned before, Daniel LaRusso is like the every kid next door who had no right winning anything, but that was sort of the magic, and that's the word I guess I would put it. The soul and magic of the original Karate Kid cannot be duplicated, and although they made a successful film, it was an example of how you could tell the exact same story but make a totally different movie. And I always add, my final note is, I don't think they're talking about that one in 30 years.
That is fair. That is.
There was a lot of, I was doing an interview with a sports show, and I remember getting a call from, Jerry called me, the producer, and he said, talk to him about this. And because it was getting a lot of bad rap from a lot of people in the industry. The people who go see the movie, they were offended that how dare they make a reproduction of our classic so soon, And so I remember getting on the sports radio, Fox Sports, and it was just simple as you said before. It never competed with Karate Kid 1. It just paid homage to it. And he made a good movie, and Will came up to us at the premiere and was very concerned, did we do the right thing? Did we did we research the characters, blah, blah. And he was very concerned about making a good movie, and he made a good movie. It made like $250 million worldwide. But, it wasn't what we did.
Right.
You can't improve upon perfection.
Well said.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I didn't know if you had something to say.
Hi. My question is mostly for Mr. Zabka. What was it like being on How I Met Your Mother with Barney Stinson saying you were the real Karate Kid all the time?
Well, they got it right, didn't they? It was amazing. I mean, when a show like that, it's a super hit show, and they call you out of the blue to play yourself on a show, it's like the TV gods kind of reached down and, But when I got the first script, it was to play pretty much a clown, so it was pretty safe for them to get me on the first episode. I didn't have to say anything, except for the very ending. And then Ralph did it, and we had a blast on the show, and they somehow had something up their sleeve for me, and I didn't know was coming, and they brought me out, and everybody was great. So it was a super fun experience working with that level of writers and producers and the actors. It's very surreal. I kept pinching myself every time I'd be back on the set. They'd have the table readings, and it would say Barney Stinson, Ted Mosley, and then Billy Zabka as himself. I'm like, how is this possible? Put your name in there. It's really strange to sit at a table like that. But it was really fun, and I really appreciated them letting me to do some of my comedy, because actually I'm more of a character actor, and I love comedy. So they, just such great writers, and you're just in great hands. I never questioned what was coming next. I never gave an idea. I never said, I think I would do this or I would do that. I think the thing I learned was just show up and deliver, and they were great, and it was a lot of fun. And I'm super happy everybody got a chance to see it. So, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
How you guys doing? You took my question earlier, but that's okay. Ralph, did you keep the yellow canary car after the movie, or?
I do have the wax on, wax off car. Yep. It's not in the running condition it needs to be, but we just did a refurbish of the exterior, and we're working hopefully within this next year to get the engine back running and getting that old bird on the road. It's pretty cool to have. It's pretty cool. It's been more difficult to keep alive over 30-something years, but it's great to have it. So you'll see it sometime, and hopefully soon.
All right, great. Thanks, guys, for all you did. Thank you.
There's no engine in it, but he has a hole in the floor for his feet
Yeah,
to
no,
kick.
I get all the other Cobra Kais to.
He
like,
walks it
little-
around the neighborhood.
I have like Tommy, Bobby, and like they're in the gerbil wheel. And that's how we get it.
Yes.
And Joe Pesci keeps all the dead bodies in his trunk.
Where's Mr. Miyagi?
Oh, well, Mr. Miyagi forever lives in the Karate Kid movies, thanks to a brilliant performance
Amen
by
to
Pat
that.
Morita.
All right.
Okay, since you guys had such great instruction for the movie, did any of you continue studying martial arts after the movie?
I did not. So, though I respect the philosophy and the martial arts itself, but I did not continue training. I think Billy did a little bit.
Yeah, I trained on for the next few years, 5 years, and then did a couple other movies with martial arts. So Shoot Fighter 2, those classic films.
Honda, 100 hand slap.
And Python 2, I pulled out a round kick too, if you haven't seen that. Yeah. So when I trained for a while after it. I got really into it. And actually, one thing in karate class was I was kind of a marked man because I was a white belt by the time I finished the Karate Kid. I wasn't a black belt, so I'd end up at these schools and I'd have to spar with people. And as we get testing more and more belts, the guys, the real black belts in there wanted to prove something to themselves. So I had a lot of aggressive feet near my face, in those days. Yeah, and I even thought about getting into point fighting for a while. My brother did. My little brother grew up and he became a black belt and went out fighting. But it was too dangerous for me to go out there. And I mean, nobody wanted to win on points. They just wanted to break my face, So, but it's great. I loved it, and I'm back to starting to train again in my little 7-year-old boy. So, thanks. Yeah.
Thank you.
So we are down to our last question, and then I want to remind everybody, and we're going to do this quickly because I know we have to get out of here. It's probably going to take about 10 to 15 minutes to pull it off. But if you want the $40 deal with all 3 signatures, we're going to do that really quickly. Just line up after the last question. You guys will leave for 5, and we'll get it set up and ready to go. And Dave has the best last question of the day.
Go ahead and ask your question, Dave. Okay.
Oh, there's a crowd photo, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead and ask your question, Dave.
Hi. What was the first movie or TV show that you saw where you thought you could do acting for a living?
Bad News Bears.
A great movie.
It's a fact. When I was a kid, I was in the theaters, and it was the first time I saw these just kids, and I just said, I could be this guy, I could be that guy, and that was the first movie where I when I was a kid, when I said, I could do that. I'd like to do that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
I would say, I think Rocky had, ironically, the same director directed Karate Kid. I think Rocky, I was running up the steps of every, building I could find and pretending started then. So I would give it to that as far as a movie.
Every weekend, my parents, we lived in New York, and they would give me, I think, $5 to go into the city and see, at that time in late 50s, early 60s, 10 Commandments and El Cid and all these great spectacle movies, Ben-Hur.
I love El Cid.
And when, I would just go in there with my friends, we were all 12, 13, and not even that old, and we watched these movies, and I was grabbed by, the spectacle of these pictures, and always wanted to do a Western, rejuvenate the Western, bring it back and stuff. But not until I joined the Natalie Wood fan club that I knew I wanted to be an actor. That was 1961, and only fan club I ever joined, and met her later on the set at Universal, and I knew I wanted to be an actor forever.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Great question.
Yeah, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for these amazing guests we've had here today.
Thank you, guys.
Like I said,